What's happening, guys? Roberto Bree here, back with another video. And in this video I want to discuss the bench press. The bench press is one of the most used exercises in the gym by far, by all people. It's one of the most important exercises when it comes to building your upper body strength, and more importantly your triceps, your shoulders, and your chest. It's one of the main movements utilized in a chest routine by absolutely everybody. And as a beginner, you want to incorporate a lot of compound movements, including the bench press. But most importantly, you want to learn how to do it correctly. 99% of people performing the bench press are setting themselves up for a shoulder injury. Right? So what happens is, a lot of people said when they bench press, they flare their elbows out this way, and the bar comes right down on their shoulders. Right? And either they do that, or when they bring the bar down, they're doing half reps because of the shoulder mobility and the shoulder's not allowing them to move back, or they're just doing half reps regardless, which they're not engaging their all the muscles possible, and they're not making the most optimal muscle gains from this movement. Alright, so in this video I want to cover just that, and I just want to say that everybody's setup is going to be slightly different because each individual is slightly differently built. But the cues that you keep in mind for the setup are all the same. So in this video I'm going to cover the cues that you should think about before you set up, before you perform the bench press. You can alter it depending on your build. Long arms, short toes, so on and so forth. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright guys, so for each main compound lift, including the bench press, you want to give yourself the best possible setup and the most optimal way of doing it so that you're able to push the most amount of weight safely. Alright? This improves longevity, meaning that you're able to lift for longer periods of time, which means that you're able to make more gains by increasing your strength. First things first is your feet setup. Okay, so when you set up, you don't just lay down on the bench like it's a bed. Okay, most people lay down on the bench like it's a bed and it's very comfortable. That's far from the truth. You want to set up so that your feet are into the ground, either all the way back like I'm doing right here, or just straight down into the ground, planted. Plant your feet into the ground, and you want to give yourself a stable base so that you can push the bar away from you with a lot more force. You want to utilize your entire body, including your legs, in the bench press so that you are as stable and tight as possible and make it a smooth press. The second thing that you want to cue in is your hand placement, and when it comes to the hand placement, it's pretty individual based, depending on how tall you are, how long your arms are, so on and so forth. But you don't want it too close in because that will emphasize your triceps a little too much, and you don't want it too far out either. You want it somewhere in the middle, just outside shoulder width, and you want your wrist and your elbows to be aligned as you press. So that's your main cue right there. The third cue is that, and it's a huge one, is you want to retract your scapula, and you want to bring your shoulder blades back together, and you want to squeeze your traps as hard as you can, and you want to push yourself in that tight position into the pad. Okay, it should feel slightly uncomfortable and should be kind of hurting you to squeeze your shoulder blades back together. This will ensure that your entire body is nice and tight and there's no loose ends at all as you're moving the weight. Okay, the tighter you are and the tighter you stay throughout the movement, the more weight you can press safely. Alright, so now that you have your entire setup done, so you want to get your hand placement or your grip placement properly, and you want to squeeze the bar as hard as you can. And then you want to set up your feet, either all the way back like I'm doing right here with a slight arch, or just straight into the ground, planted, pushing and having a strong leg drive. Shoulder retraction, and then push into the pad as hard as you can. Okay, this setup should hurt. I don't mean like bad hurt, but it should be uncomfortable when you're setting it up. And when you perform the bench press, like the actual pressing movement, you want to bring the bar with the shoulder retracted, nice and tight. You don't want to lose any tightness at all as you're lowering the bar onto your mid-chest. Okay, so your forearms or your elbow should be at a 45-degree angle as you're lowering the weight, and then you want to press straight up in a nice linear fashion. Okay, the bar path should be as consistent as possible. If you're having trouble with the bar path, I suggest that lower the weight and practice the bar path until you get that form, that movement pattern down. Okay, it's important. It's very, very important to get this down as a beginner because to avoid shoulder injury and to avoid imbalances as you're training. The more stable you are in that lift, the better you're going to be able to push that weight, and the more gains you're going to have in the long run with less or no injury. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys what not to do and what most people actually do because of the ego lifting or just unaware of how to perform correctly. The most common mistakes are elbows flared out to the side and then just bring the bar straight down on their shoulders. And they either do half reps just because there's too much weight, or they do half reps because the shoulders are obviously not allowing them to bring the bar any lower. All right, and this puts a lot of strain on your shoulders, and you don't want to injure your shoulders. Once your shoulders are injured, it's very hard to get it back to 100%, and you're going to have issues for the rest of your life. Okay, so it's a lot better to prevent these injuries and learn how to do the bench press correctly and avoid as many injuries as possible, so you increase your longevity in the gym and in your lifting career. And the longer you are in the gym and the longer you lift, obviously the more gains you make. All right, also another thing to keep in mind is that when your setup is proper and you perform the exercise correctly, you're able to progress that much longer because there's no weak points, okay? There's no limitations. If you're doing any movement incorrectly, like for example, if you're doing it where your shoulders or elbows flared out and you're bringing it down on your shoulders, eventually your shoulders will give out, okay? You may be doing this for 1, 2, 3 years and you're okay, but eventually once you hit a weight that's high enough, you will injure your shoulders, and that's what's going to limit you from improving, increasing, and going to that next level. Okay, so like I said, it's a lot better to prevent shoulder injuries and perform the exercise correctly, even though you may not be able to move as much weight as you used to before when you're doing the exercise incorrectly and not the most optimal way. That doesn't matter, okay? That means that that's your real strength at the moment, and keep your ego in check and just make sure you're doing each movement correctly, especially the bench press, and improve your longevity in the gym. If you like the video, smash the like button. I really appreciate it, and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.